Welcome back to Whence, a Masonic podcast featuring research papers and discussions related to Freemasonry. Here's your host, Brother Robert Johnson.
This is episode 306. Just a quick announcement this week. I should mention that we were going to have on Frater O. However, the schedules got a little crazy. I had to be in Lincoln, Illinois for some District Deputy Grand Master, District Education Officer, collaboration stuff with the Grand Lodge, so I didn't get to have that conversation, but I do want to tell you that in the upcoming weeks, I've got conversations coming with illustrious Brother Stephen L. Harrison, and I've got a conversation with Frater O to record, as well as another one that we're going to record with a award-winning author, Bull Garlington, and another brother who is a great scholar, and we'll have them on. And it should be a great talk about a topic that you guys might really be into. We've done a little something on it before, but this will be a little bit different of a direction. So keep your eyes peeled for information relating to those. I did want to mention also that this month I will be presenting 2 topics at 2 different lodges. I'll be at Libertyville Lodge number 492 on August 8th. That's just this upcoming Tuesday. And we're going to be doing a topic called Finding Truth, Masonic Research. So it's something I've done before. There is a video of that presentation that I've done for the Illinois Lodge of Research on YouTube. You can check that out. And on August 30th, I will be presenting for Castle Island Virtual Lodge 190 or Civil 190. And I'll be doing podcasts and Freemasonry. And I believe I'm going to be on with Brother John Ruark. We're going to be on there and talk a little bit about podcasting and Freemasonry. So that should be very fun. October 2nd, I'm going to be doing a Skype presentation for Troy Lodge number 34. And I'll be talking about the topic of Long Been in Darkness, traditional candidate preparation. Again, that'll be a Skype meeting and should be pretty fantastic. I've already received a bunch of questions for Stephen L. Harrison for the kind of Ask Me Anything that we're going to do on the show. And we do have books for a few of the gentlemen who have decided to write in, and we look forward to that. And with that, I think I want to get into this week's piece. And sometimes Brother Adam Thayer comes on this program and does a wonderful job hosting and ends up reading something I've written. And recently he wrote something that I just found funny and appropriate. And I think it's time to repay that favor. He wrote this piece called On the Membership Issue, or Why the Troma Rules of Production Doesn't Apply to Freemasonry, by Midnight Freemason contributor, Worshipful Brother Adam Thayer. I was listening to the Whence podcast today when Worshipful Brother Robert Johnson asked Worshipful Brother Michael Blazes about the membership issue that we are facing today in Freemasonry. I had to stop the podcast for a minute so that I could answer the question for myself, which I'm sure the other people on the road thought I looked like a lunatic, and I'd like to share that answer with you. We don't have a membership issue. I should clarify that we, the Blue Lodges, don't have a membership issue. Everyone is concerned that we're losing members faster than we're replacing them, and this is absolutely true, but we don't have a membership issue. The question really is, are we losing Masons? Because we can lose card-carrying, dues-paying members whose shadows never darken our doorways after they take their master's degree, and it won't actually affect anything except for the revenue. But are we losing men who are making the world a better place? To that, I'm not actually certain. I believe we may be losing a few here and there, but I think for the most part, men who were first prepared to be Masons in their heart are remaining as Masons. They're out there practicing Masonry in the world, and that's the most important thing that we teach. So who does have a membership issue? Well, the Grand Lodges have a membership issue. To continue supporting all of the programs that they put into place during the quote-unquote golden age of Freemasonry, they need revenue. That is completely understandable, and I can't fault them for that. Many of these programs do great work in the world, and we are all very proud of what they accomplish. The appendant bodies have a membership issue. For them to continue their existence, they require more men to become Masons so that they can in turn turn them into Scottish Rite Masons, York Rite Masons, and Shriners. These additions to Freemasonry, yes, the Grand Lodges are additions. Remember that originally independent lodges joined together to form a Grand Lodge. All are facing potentially catastrophic membership issues, but the Blue Lodge is running along just fine, doing what it has always done, which is taking the raw material of good men and turning them into the tools to change the world. for the better. One of the potential resolutions that I've heard thrown out to combat the perceived membership issue is the one-day class. You may have heard of it, called a Blue Lightning, and you may have even heard some pretty negative terms for it that I won't justify by repeating here. Now, if you haven't ever sat and spoken with me about it before, let me tell you now, I hate one-day classes. I hate them with a passion. I hate the idea of them, the shrinking of a life-changing event into a rapid fire orgy of lectures, and I hate the mentality that has led to us to believe that they are okay to perform on a routine basis. That's not to say I hate one-day Masons. One of my first mentors and dearest friends is the product of a one-day class, and it didn't affect his Masonic journey in any way. But I hate one-day classes, and here's why. One-day classes cheapen the experience for the newly made Mason. That's it, really. Our whole purpose of performing the degree work is to leave an impression on the brother, and I don't believe we can adequately do this in a single day. Dear Scottish Rite, I'm looking at you here too, because there is absolutely no way a man can absorb 29 degrees worth of material or even a few mandatory degrees in a single weekend. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, men who were prepared to be Masons in their hearts first are going to take this lesson and apply it to them as best as they can, even though they were only exposed to them in a short, overwhelming burst. As they keep coming back and learning more, they're going to find better ways to apply them in their lives. As much as I hate one-day classes, I hate degree work that has multiple candidates even more for the same reason. Awkward confession. At my entered apprentice and fellowcraft degrees, there were 3 of us as candidates, and I shared my master's degree with another brother. Although we took our obligations and second section of that degree individually, speaking firsthand, it cheapens the experience for the individual if you're sitting on the sideline watching someone else learn the lessons that were meant to be taught to you directly. Ahem. Scottish Rite. And York Rite too. All of this has led me to think about trauma entertainment. Now, if you've never heard of trauma entertainment, good for you. I watch horrible, low-budget movies, and as such, I can't help but have experienced a good many trauma movies. Trauma Entertainment is a production company known for ultra-low-budget movies such as The Toxic Avenger and Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. If those sound like absolutely terrible movies, you're right, although quote-unquote terrible isn't a strong enough descriptor. On every trauma production, the 3 house rules of production are posted in highly visible locations so that everyone on the cast and crew sees them enough times to never forget them. They are, in order, safety to humans, safety to people's property, make a good movie. That last one is in very small print compared to the other 2. I worry sometimes that we try to apply this same mentality to our degree work. Of course, we want to make sure that everyone involved is safe. That is definitely important. And we want to treat our buildings with respect and make certain that we don't burn them down by using too much flash powder. But then, at really small, going back to the make a good movie, the really small print at the bottom, again, maybe we say something like, give the candidate a good degree experience. And I think we're going about it the wrong way. Giving the candidate the best experience possible should be our priority. But put it at position 1 in bold print, all caps, and the largest font you can possibly squeeze onto a piece of paper. If it was to be put up on a website, put that in scrolling and blinking text so that everyone sees it enough times to never forget. Our job in degree work is to give the candidate the best degree possible. If we approach degree work with a candidate-centric approach like this, all of a sudden everything changes. We're there to impress our lessons on him and impress how important those lessons are so that he can use them to become a better man. I don't know how your lodge operates when it comes to degree work, but I know how mine does. We practice and we practice. We practice again. Then, when we think we have it down, we practice some more. Sometimes we'll show up to practice not knowing what we're practicing. We don't know what degree we're working on, and in that degree, we don't know what part we're performing. Sometimes we'll even draw roles out of a hat. We practice so much that the people who do our degree work know every single word, every single footstep of the degree. This gives us one very distinct advantage. When it's time to do our ritual work with live candidates, we are not focused on the words, we're not focused on where we're walking, we're focused on giving the candidate the best experience, and that makes all the difference in the world. From the minute the candidate enters the building, we're focused on the candidate. Nobody is worried about forgetting their lines because they have them locked into their memory as deeply as the names of their own family members. Nobody is worried that everything is set up correctly because we've done it so often that our crew, which is mainly just our Tyler, can do it in his sleep. All we're focused on is if the candidate is being taken care of. Is he having a good time? Does he feel welcomed in the lodge? Is he meeting his soon-to-be brothers and getting to know them? The candidate-centric approach sets the tone for the whole evening. When we go into the degree work, we spend the whole time focusing on the candidate. There are no brothers chattering on the sidelines and no members shouting out corrections during the degree. They're watching everything that's being done to make sure that the candidate is picking up what is being taught, to look for the areas that the candidate might be getting confused for later discussion, and to be sure he is understanding it, insofar as a new candidate can understand everything that is thrown at him in the degree. How does your lodge do degree work? A number of lodges that I've been to as an apprentice custodian do things differently. They focus on the ritual itself. Now, that's not to say that a focus on ritual isn't important, because our ritual work is very important. The lodges, however, are focusing on the ritual to the exclusion of the candidate. They're so concerned about being word perfect with every lecture and having every footstep hit the exact place that it should. And, oh yeah, by the way, we have a candidate here as well. The candidate ends up feeling left out, like he's not really a part of the degree as much as he is just a prop for the brothers to use to make themselves look good. If your lodge does this too, don't fret. It's an easy fix. Practice, and then practice some more. And then when you know it, go ahead and practice a little more. Get it so ingrained that you forget about performing and focus on making your candidate have the best experience possible. If you do that, you'll find that everything else falls in line. Your candidate keeps coming back because they felt important. And they might even bring in one or two special men who will also become Masons. Notice Masons, not members. And by this method, the craft continues to propagate itself. This will also bolster the ranks of the Grand Lodges and will work its way into helping build back the appendant bodies. But if you start doing this for the purpose of bringing in members to these groups, you've missed the whole point of what I'm saying, because you're no longer doing it for the candidate. I've seen a number of appendant bodies start looking at ways to make new Masons in the thought that they can get them to join the bodies immediately as well and build back up the numbers. These efforts are doomed to fail because they're only going to bring in members who will stay in Freemasonry for as long as these groups can hold their interest. I'm going to summarize with a phrase one of my bosses used to repeat. Always focus on the customer and everything else will fall into place. As long as we remember that our candidates are our customers for degree work and all of our brothers are customers of the lodge all year long, our focus will stay true and we can finally relax a bit about membership. Worshipful Brother Adam Thayer is the Senior Warden of Lancaster Lodge number 54 in Lincoln, Nebraska, past Master of Oliver Lodge number 38 in Seward, Nebraska. He's an active member of the Knights of St. Andrew and, on occasion, remembers to visit the Scottish and York Rites as well. He continues to be reappointed to the Grand Lodge of Nebraska Education Committee and serves with fervency and zeal. He's a sub-host on the Whence podcast and may be reached at adam@wcypodcast.com. He will not help you get your whites whiter or your brights brighter, but he does enjoy conversing with brothers from around the world. Again, our thanks to Worshipful Brother Thayer for an excellent piece when we really think about being candidate-centric, learning your rituals so well that you essentially just focus on them. How many times do you walk into the lodge room to set it up and you see a brother in there practicing his ritual yet again? How many times do you hear a guy delivering a lecture and he'll stop, he'll apologize, and start again? This is not a great degree experience. And I think this is what many gentlemen, Adam Thayer, not excluded in this list by any means. I've even heard Robert Hurd, a famous Masonic author, talk a little bit about this. The candidate experience needs to be almost flawless. And this is a tall order, but we have the capacity to do it. We are Freemasons after all. And the other piece in this is that I love the way Adam refers to the difference between a membership problem and having Masons. They gain Masons, not members. And that is a really big key because after all, the issue of Grand Lodges and the dwindling membership, as they like to state, it's an odd way to look at things for sure. But I really like the way Brother Adam points this out. Great, it's candidate-centric, and if you can do that, great. The Grand Lodge of Rhode Island, I was there. I was talking with Brother Lynch, and he said they tell their candidates for Masonry, we want you, not your money. And that made all the difference in the world to me. And I think it makes the difference to them too. I don't want somebody who's just going to pay dues and never come back. We want you. We want you to be active. We want you to be there. We want you to take a part. And I think that's a real key. But they're only going to do that, guys, if we give them what they expect, which is Masonic education. We are supposed to teach good men to be better. And how do we teach that, really? How can we claim to make good men better when we don't have more Masonic education meetings than business and work? If we were truly educating our members, we would have more education meetings than we would degrees or business. Think about that. And the fact that we don't have that, have we just been lying and being okay with it for the past 100 years? Certainly, men have become better. But it's probably through the studies of individual things off to the side. And of course, they are learning from our past masters and conversations that they have. And if they are in fact studying their degree materials, their catechisms, their obligations, the lectures, the rituals. But we're not opening lodge and just discussing these things in large part. And I think that's important. We need to get back to that. And we'll fulfill our Masons. And that hopefully will continue to grow the fraternity into something more fantastic. Time will tell. And now I'd like to go into a special segment by illustrious Brother Stephen L. Harrison, the good old Masonic Minute.
On occasion, I'm asked how many books I've written. 4 is my quick and dirty answer, especially if I can quickly walk away from the person who asked. In reality, I'm coming clean here, brothers, I have written 3 books. The 4th book I edited. It was as much work as writing a book, but that's a different story. That 4th book, The Masonic Memoranda of Frederick L. Billen, contained the recollections of a man who was Grand Secretary of the Grand Lodge of Missouri. He lived virtually the entire 19th century and chronicled Masonic events during that time. He came to Missouri with his father, a Pennsylvania Mason, and through his father's eyes and his own, saw the formation of the Grand Lodge of Missouri. He knew William Clark of the Lewis and Clark expedition, met the Marquis de Lafayette, went to the Baltimore Convention, and lived through the dark days of the Morgan Affair, all the while with his journal in hand, recording those events for posterity. His journal was lost for 75 years until a determined brother tracked it down after a 7-year search. Once found, it became the passion of the Missouri Lodge of Research to publish it and preserve Brother Billen's precious first-hand account of our history. Written in longhand, the journal had to be transcribed and carefully edited. Selected to edit the 275-page memoir, I knew from the start I needed help, and lots of it. Occasionally, I've made the call for such help only to be met with the deafening sound of silence. So this time I prepared myself to go out and do a major league sales job. I personally started asking people to participate. But beyond that, once word got out, I was surprised to find people not just asking me to be part of it, but telling me they would be honored to do so. Eventually, 18 brothers and 2 Eastern Star sisters signed up. The group even included the sitting Grand Master. Amazingly, I had to turn a few people down. 20 volunteers was plenty. We divided the book into sections, and I sent a draft transcript and a copy of the original longhand document to each volunteer. They, in turn, made sure the transcripts were correct, complete, and most importantly ensured interpretation of the tricky longhand script was accurate. The entire process took the bulk of 2016, and the Missouri Lodge of Research gave a hardbound copy of the book to each member. The point is that while we are a fraternity of good men striving to become better, we are still human. I'm sure that you, as well as I, have seen brothers in conflict, sometimes expressing their discontent in unbrotherly ways, sometimes bickering, sometimes escalating things beyond that. Joe doesn't like something Tom said. There is too much conflict in the committee to get anything done. Frank is trying to ram some project through that's against the bylaws, even though I haven't read them. And dear God, there they go, trying to raise dues again. It happens in every organization, not just ours. I don't know exactly what happened to inspire brothers to embrace this project. If I did, I would bottle it. And to be fair, I have seen this kind of thing happen more in our gentle craft than the arguments and bickering. But it's an example of something a group of brothers and sisters did that exemplifies what can happen when we apply the cement of brotherly love and affection, that cement which unites us into one sacred band or society of friends and brothers, among whom no contention should ever exist, save that noble contention, or rather emulation, of who best can work and best agree. It's a big part of why I, and possibly you, joined this fraternity. For the Whence Came You podcast, this is Steve Harrison with the Masonic Minute.
I hope you enjoyed that piece. Again, we're going to have illustrious brother Stephen L. Harrison on the program very soon. We're also going to be sending out those books just as soon as we pick some winners. So if you've got questions for Stephen L. Harrison, go ahead and send them on into the show, wcypodcast@gmail.com. Subject line, question for Steve Harrison or something along those lines, so I flag it. It should be a great episode. Now, again, he's got a great new book coming out here, and I really encourage you guys to check it out. We're going to be talking with him about the book on the show, as well as doing kind of the Ask Me Anything for Brother Steve. Want to take just a moment and ask you all to support the show by heading on over to wcypodcast.com, hover over support the show, and explore some of those links. Of course, we've got On It Labs. If you use promo code WCY, it's 10% off. And if you go through our links, they send a little bit back to the show. We have our premier sponsor, buybankersbest.com. Use promo code BBWCY357 for 20% off. And if you buy any of those products that are mentioned on our links, Brother Levi Banker actually sends 50% of those profits back to the show. So it's a pretty sweet deal. You're helping us, you're helping yourself, and you're helping your brother's business. And we've got WCY and Thrive. We have a Thrive account, and also we have our limited edition shop where you can pick up our lapel pins, and that design is also on One Last Tie Bar. We have some cufflinks and money clips as well. And of course, we have your Make a Donation. So by clicking Make a Donation, we actually have a direct donation through PayPal. You can make a one-time donation, any amount, whether that's 50 cents or $5 or whatever it is. We really appreciate it. But we also have a monthly contribution. You can be a contributor for $2 a month, $5 for a fellow, and a producer for $10 a month. And I really appreciate the gentlemen that have signed up to support this program. It is listener-supported education. education, and every dollar goes right back into the production of this show and brings you the content and sometimes extras. And again, we really appreciate it. I cannot thank everybody enough. I got a recent donation that was just knocked the wind out of me. It was so generous. And to that brother, I know you're listening. You really don't know how much that helps this program. So I just want to give a special shout out to you. Thank you so much. One of our other contributors, somebody who helps us out, is brothersblendcoffee.com. Go over there and check out. They have 3 blends of coffee. They're all really great. Tyler's Cup is my favorite. You can pretty much drink it straight. Of course, I do like a little creamer and sugar in it. A little pick-me-up with some sugar. But it's coffee made by brothers for brothers and anybody else who enjoys coffee. Brothers Blend Coffee is produced by Montgomery Lodge in Milford, Massachusetts. It is a fundraiser to support the charitable causes, activities, and the maintenance of that lodge. It's a great lodge, and again, these guys, I met them out at Masonicon for the first time, and these guys were just so amazing and so cool. Sent me home with some more coffee, and I'm set for coffee. These guys are awesome. So set yourself up with some coffee. Go over to brothersblendcoffee.com and pick some up. It's really good stuff, and you're helping out a lodge and some brothers. And that's it for this week, guys. So I really appreciate the time this week. We had a shorter episode. Again, it's because I had some Grand Lodge duties to attend to. This happens every once in a while. You can bet your bottom dollar you're going to hear some great episodes by Adam Thayer coming up probably in October while I'm at Sessions, and any other time that he wishes to come on the show and do an episode. Of course, he is able to do that anytime. So we really appreciate Adam Thayer for all that you do for this program and for your writing. And I really hope he doesn't kill me here, but one of my best friends, Brother Duball from the Midnight Freemasons, we talk just about every day, and he just had a special addition to his family. So just a special congratulations is in order for Worshipful Brother Duball and his beautiful wife for the addition to their family. So congratulations, brother. You and your wife are going to make tremendous parents. So thank you so much for everything you do and for bringing a beautiful baby into the world. With that, I will talk to you all next week. Until then, stay on the level. For Whence Came You, I'm Robert Johnson.
You've been listening to Whence Came You, a Masonic podcast featuring research papers and discussions related to Freemasonry with your host, Brother Robert Johnson. Be sure to join us for our next edition.